What's up, everybody? We're back. Got West Sportsnet and Joey Werk MattMoney back for UFC 250. Just want to go over quickly last week's bet bets. For me, went pretty good. I went 2 out of 3. I got right. The wrong one was my parlay because the main event went the opposite way. Otherwise, my 2 plus money dogs cashed. Matt, I know you did pretty good yourself, I think, as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. Mine got kind of overruled by. I was really disappointed in the Woodley pick.
Yeah.
We both agreed on Woodley. I thought he was going to come out, put on a professor more performance, and he didn't perform at all. And it reminded me of one of his boring fights, typical Woodley fights.
Yep. So I'm going to just go. We're going to start here by going through the card quickly. We're going to do our best bets on the other card, and then we're going to go through all of the events on the main card, all the fights on the main card. So first we'll start with light heavyweight matchup, Alonzo Menifield versus Devin Clark we got here. So, Matty, you want to start? I'll write it out here first. Alonzo Menifield is 9-0. He is 32 years old, 6 foot, 76-inch reach. And then we got Devin Clark, who is 11-4. He's 30 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach. Menifield is 3-0 in the UFC, including his Contender Series fights. He's 4 of his last 5, all winning in the first round. And hit by his 9 wins, 7 by KO and 2 by sub, so none went to the decision. Then we got Devin Clark, who's 5-4 in the UFC, 3-2 last 5. Last 5 wins, all by decision. In his 11 wins, 3 by KO, 1 by submission, and 7 by decision.
So, watching Menifield fight is impressive. I mean, this guy he looks massive inside the ring. Obviously you can see that he's just like, chiseled at his weight class. He's huge. He throws massive amounts of power. I see this being, he has, I think all of his 9 wins, or actually 8 of his 9 wins have came in the first round KOs. And the one that went into the second round was a KO. It just didn't get finished to the second round.
Correct. Yep.
So this guy's massive. I watched his last fight. He cleaned the guy out quick. He's got some long reach. He throws huge power. I don't see this being. I see him being a poster boy for UFC. UFC loves those huge guys. Just come out, swing, put on a performance that look good doing it. And I see this being kind of another stepping stone for him. I see this being. I don't know if this is going to be a first round finish, but I see this being some type of finish for Menifield. I was looking at the Menifield line to finish the fight. I think it was minus 165 to finish the fight by submission or KKO. I don't know what his odds are straight. Do we know what his odds are straight?
Yep, I got him right here. Menifield minus 210 is probably the best you're going to get.
Yeah, I like him. Do I like him that much? I'm not sure if I would lay 210,
Yeah. Well, if he's going to win, obviously every fight, he hasn't had a fight to decision yet.
The only thing that I would back off about laying the 210 on him is the fact that you never know that some of these big guys, the first fight they go into the second round, they look like a completely different fighter. And that's the main reason that I would lay off, laying it all on him is because, we watched a lot of these guys in the UFC come in, they look awesome for all first round finishes. Then one fight they go into the second and third round, they just lose everything. They gas out.
Yep.
They're a completely different fighter. They stop throwing volume. They start getting hit. They lose a decision. So, I'm curious to see if this goes into the second round. I'm curious to see how he looks and can he keep throwing that power into the second round. So it's going to be an interesting fight, but I don't know. Do I see Devin Clark coming out and surviving that first round crazy volume that he's going to throw and crazy power? I don't know, because Devin Clark, I think, has 2 or 3 KOs in his losses, and they weren't to anybody special,
Yep.
So, like I said, I like Menifield in this fight. I don't know if you see anything different.
Yep. I'm definitely like Menfield as well. I might use him as a parlay piece rather than the under over. A couple people in the chat were asking about the rounds. Lags, the capper's asking, he put under 1.5 rounds at -120. I'm always afraid at, if it was plus money, I don't like to lay the -120 on under over 1.5. Maybe 2.5, that's a different story. 1.5, obviously, Menfield is knocked out. His last, I think there's only one fight out of his last 5 that went to, one fight out of his last 5 went to second round, and he knocked the guy in the second round. So,
The problem is with the rounds is if I'm sure Clark's whole game plan is going to be, we got to take this guy deep. We got to take him into the second round.
absolutely.
So the game plan is going to be maybe push him, maybe try to grapple him, maybe try to see how strong he is, try to push him up against the fence, try to clinch, try to get out of the way of his big power shots, and just try to tire those big arms out that he has. Yep. Can he do that? We're going to find out,
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we'll go to the next fight we got here. So I like to talk about the next one actually on the card, which is Formier versus Alex Perez. I know a lot of people have there's a lot of people with different opinions on this one, but I am leaning Alex Perez. He, on the weigh-ins, during the stare down, he definitely has, it looked like a little bit, maybe a 2-inch height advantage. I know it's only showing 1 on the screen here, but it looks like he's a little bigger. So Formier is 23-7. He's 35 years old, 5'5", and 67-inch reach. He's 96 in the UFC, 3-2 last 5. He lost his last 2. Out of his 23 wins, 10 by submission and 13 by decision. And then we got Alex Perez, the favorite, at -125. He's 23-5. He's 28 years old, 5'6", and 65.5-inch reach. He's 6-1 in the UFC, 4-1 last 5, 23 wins, 4 by knockout, 7 by submission, and 12 by decision. So I see this fight it's probably going to go the distance here. Both these guys, or I really expect it to go the distance, or possibly an Alex Perez submission. I know they're both probably pretty good on the ground here. 125 pounds. The only loss that Perez has had in the last 10 is to Joseph Benavidez during the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he's definitely a good fighter. Formier definitely has fought better fighters. He also lost to Benavidez by punches in the second round. He also lost to Brandon Moreno his last fight out. He also lost to Brave Borg. He did beat Sergio Pettis and Dustin Ortiz. He definitely has fought better competition here. So I am, on the wrong side of that. But at 125 price, I'm going to lay it at the third fight of the night. It's the third fight of the night. I'll lay it and see where we go from there. You got any looks on this one?
Not really, no. I was back and forth on this fight, and I couldn't really, I could lean either way on this fight, Alex Perez, I'm with you that he's probably going to be the bigger fighter. Formiga's a little small when he walks in the ring, and I mean, even though both these guys are 125, he just looks small for 125, The only reason that I kind of would lean against Perez is, something that you mentioned is that, Formiga has for a lot of guys in the division, and he kind of has that veteran status over him, but, Perez can definitely step up here, and, Formiga's on 2 losses, he's coming off 2 losses. So you never know if that's going to be a good or a bad thing for him, So, like I said, I don't have any lean, but if you're on Perez, I'll back you up on it.
Cool. All right. So you will go to Stanman versus Keller.
Yeah, so I wanted to I'll let you break it down, and then I'll.
All right. So Stamen is 30. He's 5'6", 64.5-inch reach. He is 18-2-1, 4-1 last 5, all in the UFC. He had a draw versus Yadong Song, but he definitely beat him. If you look at the stats on that fight, if you look at the stats compared to the actual fight, I think he definitely beat him. And even watching the fight, I think he beat him. But, there was controversy about the UFC building up Yadong Song to get the viewership in Asia up, and it is what it is. 18 wins. He has 6 by KO, 2 by submission, 10 by decision. And then Brian Kelleher, who just fought about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and he cashed at a plus 200 underdog. He's 5-3 in the UFC, 3-2 last 5. Out of his 21 wins, 8 by KO, 9 by submission, and 4 by decision.
So I wanted to talk about this fight for one of the major reasons being that Kelleher just fought, as you mentioned, a couple weeks ago. It was about a month ago. I think it was like May 8th or something like that. So it might have been even less than a month ago. And that's actually really hard for a fighter to, come out of one whole training camp and go right into another and prepare for another top level opponent that's different from your last opponent. Not only being the pressure, the stress on your body, your mind, everything that goes into a fight, to turn around and fight that quick again. I mean, a lot of people can say, oh, Donald Cerrone can do it, but Donald Cerrone, you know what I mean? That's not, Brian Kelleher is not no Donald Cerrone at the moment,
Yep.
So I think honestly, he came out. I didn't like him to win his last fight. I believe I leaned against him. So he came out, he knocked the guy out. It was an impressive performance. I think he's going to come into this riding that, that confidence that he has coming out of that fight, and he's going to come into this fight. And I think this is a big stepping stone for him. This is a big change of competition from his last fight. So I see Cody putting on a performance against Brian here.
Yep. So what would you advise for? I know he's minus 235. Are you gonna lay that? You're gonna take him within distance? Is there something you prefer there?
What is do we know the line on Cody at the moment?
Yeah, he's minus like 220-ish is probably the best you can get.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, and this was actually going to be my. I was toying with this pick as like my third favorite pick of the night because I do really like Cody in this matchup, but it's so hard to lay anything over that minus 200 line. It gets you thinking. Do I really want to lay that much on a fighter? Do I like him that much to win this? To dominate that fight. And in a sport like UFC where anything can happen, where one punch changes the whole concept, that's a really hard, battle to choose there if you lay the minus 200 or not. Inside the distance, I could see this fight going either way. I could see this fight, being quick, or I could see this fight going the distance. Both guys are pretty tough. Cody's 100% tough. He's game. He's ready to go. If anything, if I had to lean away, I would just say to take Cody straight, and maybe parlay him with something else to try to get some better odds on it.
There you go. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely leading Cody as well, but I'm not going to lay the two. Yeah. My book's showing 240.
It's hard. It's hard to lay that.
Yeah, it would be a possible parlay piece, but I think there are better parlay pieces. So I haven't made a decision on it yet. Obviously, I'll tweet out my full bets on Saturday morning, but
I wish this fight was, I wish this fight was a little closer. I wish it was maybe a minus 150 or a 125. That would be really enticing.
Yep, I agree. All right, so on to the next fight. Actually, is Ian Heinisch versus Gerald Meerschaert. So I know Heinisch was pulled from the card, and then they put him back on because one of his cornermen tested positive for coronavirus. But I think they retested him, and he might have came back negative, or I'm not exactly sure what they did. But he's back on the card, weighed in, made weight, and everything. So Heinisch is 31, 5'11", 72-inch reach. He is 13-3 overall, 3-2 last 5, and in the UFC. Last 4 all went to decision. Out of his 13 wins, 4 by KO, 2 by submission, and 7 by decision. Now, Gerald Meerschaert, he is another guy on a quick turnaround. He fought not too long ago. He fought the little guy Ware from that kind of looks like mini DC, trains with DC too, I'm pretty sure. Duran Wynn.
Yeah.
And he beat him, but I remember watching that fight. He beat him by rear naked choke in the third. These two were going back and forth. He was gassed. They were both very gassed, but I think if he stands in there with Heinisch till the third, I think he loses this fight. But so Mearshard's 6-4 in UFC, 2-3 last 5. Last 13 fights, he won all stop before decision. So that means if he's going to win, it's not going to go to decision. Last fight, he was gassed but won via rear naked choke, what I already mentioned. He has 31 wins, 6 by KO, 23 by submission, and 2 by decision. So here at the price, I know my book doesn't have the odds up yet, I don't think, but I think Heinisch is minus 120, I think I'm getting.
Check it out.
Yeah, let's look at that real fast.
He is minus 130. I have him at.
You got minus 130. Yeah, mine's showing minus 1. Heinisch. Yeah, mine doesn't even show on the first page, and I gotta click view all events, and then minus 125. I'm definitely gonna put a unit on Ian Heinisch here. Just because the fact that, I know Heinisch, when was the last time he fought? I know Mearshart fought 3 months ago. He fought, that was in March, probably the first fight before the whole coronavirus, the last fight before the whole coronavirus. Heinisch is coming off 2 losses, so he definitely needs a win here. His last fight was in December. He lost to Omar Akhmedov, and then he also lost to Derek Brunson, both decisions. His last 4 all went to decision. He's 2-2 in those fights. But I do expect Heinisch to keep it. I expect Heinisch to possibly knock him out. If they stay standing, I definitely think he has the power, because I know Mearshart was getting even peppered up by Ron Wynn last fight. And Ron Wynn is, how tall is that guy? He's got to be 5'6", maybe. He is, he's 5'6". So now we got a guy that's his height, 5'11". I just think I'll take the Heinisch on minus 125. You have a look on this one?
I don't have a look. I tried to break it down, but to be honest, I haven't seen enough of these guys fight, and I kind of would lean for I kind of would back your lean because he's got a lot of fights, so I would back you up on this and say, knockout for Ian.
Cool. All right, so I think that's it for the fights we wanted to talk about on the prelims. Maybe you want to talk about Chase Hooper at all, or no? He is.
We can touch on that one. I mean, I really don't have a look on that, but if you want, we can touch on it.
Yep. All right. So Chase Hooper versus Alex Serreras. Chase Hooper's 20 years old, 6'1", 75.5-inch reach. He's 9-0-1. He's 2-0 in the UFC, including his Contender Series fights. He's 5-0 in his last 5, 1 to decision his last 5, in his 9 wins, 3 by knockout, 4 by submission, and 2 by decision. Now, Alex Serreras, he's 31, 5'10", 73.5-inch reach, 10-10 in the UFC, not including his Ultimate Fighter fights. He's 3-2 in his last 5, and he's off a 1-year layoff. And 3 of his last 4 went to decision. When Chase originally weighed in, he looked, I guess, really skinny and bare-boned, I guess you could say. But when they had the actual official weigh-ins, or not the official, but the fake stare-off weigh-ins, he definitely re-energized and put on some weight. And right now, you can get him at minus 185-ish, 190 for Chase Hooper. I think the only way to do that would be to parlay. I'm possibly thinking about a Hooper O'Malley parlay here. I think this is should be, not discrediting Alex because he's fought 20 fights in the UFC, not including his Ultimate Fighter, which I think he had maybe 4 or 5 fights on there. So 25 fights in the UFC, definitely impressive. His record is 15-12, not that impressive. But I think this is just a stepping stone for 20-year-old Chase Hooper, and we will see that tomorrow. So I got a Hooper O'Malley parlay. O'Malley's at minus 490 now. Hooper, I got a minus 180. O'Malley, Hooper parlay at minus 110.
Okay. The only reason why I don't have a look on this fight is because every time that I watch Alex fight, he is inconsistent. And he wins, he loses. He wins, he loses. He wins, he loses. It's like he comes on and puts out an awesome performance, and then he comes out and puts on a terrible performance. And if I lean the other way, I didn't like, again, you're playing with Hooper odds at minus 190. That's not that great. You know,
for a 20-year-old who's really unproven.
And I don't like him that much. So again, another one that I would say lean Hooper, but if you're gonna take him, parlay him with another great look.
Yep. All right. Well, we're on to the main card now. We'll break through. We'll break out all the 5 fights on the main card here, starting with the first one, which is Sugar Shane O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland. Sean O'Malley is 25 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach. He is 3-0 in the UFC, including 1 Contender Series fight, 1 Ultimate Fighter. He's 11 wins, 6 by knockout, 2 by submission, and 3 by decision. Then we got Eddie Wineland, 24 and 13. He's 35 years old, 5'7", and 69-inch reach. So O'Malley's 10 years younger, has a 4-inch reach or 4-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Wineland is 6-7 in the UFC, 3-2 last 5. His 24 wins, 14 by knockout, 5 by submission, 4 by decision. I don't see this one going long. This is another stepping stone, in my opinion, fight. And Sean O'Malley probably in the first or second round by knockout.
I'm with you on that 100%. That this is a stepping stone. Eddie has fought some great guys in the division. He has a ton of fights, and I think he's kind of, very beaten up in this in the UFC. He's been through kind of the ringer here. He won some decent fights. He lost some decent fights, but he's dealing with someone that is on a hot streak here.
Yep.
But the problem is that it's crazy when you look at these odds. O'Malley is coming in at minus 500, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, pretty funny. I saw a guy yesterday post a video on Twitter, and he actually sent it to me in my DMs, and I read it, and he said, best bet of the night, Sean O'Malley minus 500. I just laughed at the guy. I never responded to him. Hopefully he's watching here.
Those are some odds that you would see. He's the biggest favorite on the card over Amanda Nunes.
Yep.
Those are odds that you kind of would see when Ronda Rousey was around.
Yep.
Even when Conor fights, it's not. Some of his older fights, you can minus 500 wasn't even there.
Yep. Wineland is off a 1-year absence as well. His last time he fought was June of 2019, exactly June 8th. So almost exactly a year off.
It's a great little look to, like you were doing, parlay with something else just to get what does it raise you? A couple bucks,
Yeah.
Just to throw in there,
Yep.
I think the if this is a fight that you like and you just kind of want to play around with, I would play around with the rounds. I was looking at some different bets on the rounds here. O'Malley to win in the first or second or third. Those are some good picks there. And that's just something that you could throw a couple bucks on just to kind of at least watch the fight and be excited about it.
Yep. What are the odds on that? Do you get any plus money? Probably not.
Let's see what we're at now. You got O'Malley. I have O'Malley in the first round to win by KO is plus 240.
Oh wow,
not bad.
That's worth a nice sprinkle there.
Yeah, or or you could not to say that not to say that Eddie's really has a chance at winning, because I don't think he does, but if you just wanted to watch the fight for fun and you didn't even care who wins and you just want to see a good fight, round 1 KO by either fighter, 195.
Yeah.
Not
there
bad.
You go. Yep.
Not bad, just to throw a couple bucks on and watch the fight and have a good time,
Absolutely. Not bad at all. All right, so we'll go to the next one here. We'll go to the next fight here on the main card, which is Neil Magny versus Anthony Rocco Martin. So let me scroll over here. So Neil Magny, he is 32 years old, 6'3", and has an 80-inch reach. He's 22-7 overall, 15-6 in the UFC, not including his Ultimate Fighter, and 3-2 last 5. He fought plenty of big names: Carlos Condon, Rafael dos Anjos, Johnny Hendricks, Hector Lombard, Kelvin Gastelum, Damian Maia. Out of his 22 wins, 7 by knockout, 3 by submission, and 15 by decision. He also didn't fight too long ago, I'm pretty sure. And now we got Anthony Rocco Martin, 17-5 overall, 30 years old, 6 foot and 73.5-inch reach. So Neil Magny has a 3-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. He is 9-5 in the UFC, 4-1 last 5. Last 3 all went to decision. He had, out of the 17 wins, 1 by knockout, 9 by submission, and 7 by decision. So, Magny fought 3 months ago on the same card as Mershart on March 7th.
So if you don't mind, let me actually take this one over, because this is actually my number 1 pick of the night. Tony Martin is my number 1 pick of the night. He's my favorite pick. He is. I think he is going. He's. If you watch this guy, he's big for his weight class. He's strong. He's got fast hands, and I think he is going to come out and he's going to put the pressure on Magny. Magny does not like pressure. He does not like fighting backwards. And anything that he kind of throws at Tony, I think Tony's going to be able to last. You know, Tony has never been KO'd or submitted. I don't believe it. Definitely not in the UFC, and I don't believe he's ever been submitted or knocked out in his pro career. He has I believe he has 2 losses in the UFC. Both came from, one was a split decision and the other one was a majority decision to Damian Maia. And both were pretty good fights. I watched both fights. So I think, like I said, he's going to come out. He's going to put the pressure on Magny. I believe he's probably going to finish Magny. I wouldn't bet on it, but I believe he's going to finish him. But he's my number 1 pick. I believe he's at plus 115. He's coming in at plus money.
Yep, plus 115 they got for Anthony. He did lose to Beneil Dariush via arm triangle choke, and Leonard Santos via rear naked choke. Otherwise, the other 3 losses he has on his record, all to decision. Yeah. So he's never been knocked out, is right.
And if you really study his career, he has some kind of like very low-key wins over some big players in the game. You know, Jake Matthews, great striker, great guy.
Ryan Flair.
Johnny Case.
You
know, and Johnny Case, I mean, even though I don't believe he's in the UFC anymore, he was a pretty promising dude, you know.
Yep.
You know, so he has some good wins over some good people, and I think that this could kind of propel him to that spot where he wants to be.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go to the next one here. We got Aljamain Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen, sorry. Aljo's 30 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach. He is 18-3 overall, 10-3 in the UFC, 4-1 his last 5. His 18 wins, 2 by knockout, 7 by submission, and 9 to decision. 3 of the last 4 were to decision. And then we got Corey Sandhagen, 12-1 overall, 28 years old, 5'11", and 70-inch reach. He's 5-0 in the UFC, and those are all his fights. His last 5, all 5 in the UFC. 12 wins, 4 by KO, 3 by submission, and 5 by decision. And 2 of his last 3 to decision. I'm an Aljo fan. We met him back in Albany. I got a funny video with him, whatnot. But I think this is going to be an awesome fight. Basically, quote-unquote, number 1 contender fight, possibly. I know Aljo's been asking for the title fight for a while. He knocked out his last fight. He beat Pedro Munoz. Before that, Jimmy Rivera. His last loss was to Marlon Moraes, who is the number 1 contender right now. And then we got Sandhagen, who has 1 loss, and it was not in the UFC. It was before he came to the UFC. He's beat everyone that they put in front of him in the UFC. Rafael Sunkau, whose next fight on the card, John Lineker, Ilya Alcantara, and a couple other guys who aren't in the UFC anymore. But my lean on this one is to take Aljo at, I could get him at minus 108-ish. Do you have any looks on this one?
So I would say this is 100% going to be scrap. This is good. I see this definitely going to this decision because these guys are here to bang, and they're definitely tricky. They're definitely going to bring out all the tools in the box here. I have a slight lean on Aljo because I think I think when Marlon knocked him out, I don't count that as a real knockout.
Yeah.
I watch that every time, and Marlon was going for a kick, and he just changed it into a knee, and it was kind of something. You know what I mean? It was something like weird that doesn't happen all the time. And it just because in the right place at the right time. And I think if Aljo won that fight, this would be a completely different conversation. Aljo would be the #1 contender, absolutely, and he'd be next in line for the belt.
Sure.
And after that fight, he had to kind of regroup and put on a little show his next couple, his next couple bouts here and get back in the game. And I think this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle. I think if he takes out Corey here, I think he's definitely the next in line for the belt. So I think he's looking to come out here, and I think he's looking to put a stamp on it and, not play any more games, trying guys in the division, go straight to the belt.
Yep, I agree as well. Okay, so now we'll go to the co-main. We got Rafael Unsuncow versus Cody Garbrandt. Suncow is 37 years old, 5'6", 66.5-inch reach, 11-4 in the UFC. 3-2 in his last 5. He lost his last 2 to Marlon and Sandhagen. He has 27 wins, 13 by decision, 10 by submission, and 4 by KO. Then we got Cody Garbrandt, who was 6-3 in the UFC, 2-3 in his last 5. He lost 3 in a row, twice to Dillashaw and once to Pedro Munoz. He was knocked out in the first round in his last 2. His last fight, he's off basically a year plus. His last fight was in March 2019, and his 11 wins, 9 by KO and 2 by decision. He is 28 years old, 5'8", and 65.5-inch reach. Here, I probably lean Rafael Suncow. Haven't made a official play yet. Suncow, the line, he's at plus 120, plus 115, plus 118. You could get, plus 115 to plus 120. I think that is the play here. I know he's getting up 37 years in age. Garbrandt definitely needs to win more, but that would be my lean. I haven't made an official play yet.
So this is actually my second play of the night. I think this is a major, major fight for Cody. He's lost 3 in a row. I think all 3 being by KO. I think it was. He lost 3 in a row, right? So this is a massive fight for Cody. This is a must-win fight. 3 in a row, KOs. He's got to come in. He's got to put on. I don't know if he has to put on a performance, but he has to win. He has to get back in the winning game. Because I don't want to say he needs to come in and put on a performance, because he was trying to put on a performance those last 3 fights, and he got himself into those situations swinging for the fences. That's the type of fighter he was. Aggressive, swing for the fences. My chin's going to last. My chin's going to outlast yours. And, I'm going to land first type of guy. And that's how his whole career was. And he quickly learned that, listen, he got knocked out 2 times by TJ Dillashaw, but I dismiss those wins because we all know TJ Dillashaw was popped for steroids. So was he on steroids at that time? We don't know, and did that make a difference in the fight? We don't know, but he was fighting TJ those fights with emotion. He was going into those looking to knock TJ out, standing in the pocket, swinging while he was getting swung on, and let's just hope my punch lands first. But another reason that I really, really, really like Cody in this fight is because he spent half his training camp, if not more than half his training camp, with Mark Henry. And we all know Mark Henry trained Marlon Moraes, and Marlon Moraes came out and he beat him. So I think Mark Henry is the guy that has the blueprint to beating this guy.
There you go. Look at that little – yep.
And I think that is going to be the game changer. Cody knew what he was doing going into this fight. He knows how important this fight is. That's why I think he made the switch out here. And he's been traveling back and forth, because I think he lives in Las Vegas or California, right? Cali, I think he lives in. But he's been traveling back and forth. He would
he's
come
over
out
here in Jersey.
He would come out here for about a week, and then he'd fly home on the weekends, and he'd go back and forth. So, I think he's laser focused going into this camp. If you're willing to do that, this whole training camp, go back and forth from Cali to Jersey, Cali to Jersey, Cali to Jersey, you're dead focused on winning this fight, and he has to win this fight. So, even at, I believe he's minus 175, I love him to win this fight. It's a must-win fight for him.
No, he got bet down. He's minus like 145, 140-ish.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that must have swung a lot, because I'm pretty sure when I looked last time, it was like 175. So like him even more. I like him to win this fight.
Yep. Cool. All right. Shout out to chat before we go to the main event. Shout out to chat. Lags the Capper, DX Filler, Big Magoo, Biz Israel, B Israel, and thanks for coming out, guys. On to the main event, Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. Nunes, 32 years old. She's 5'7" and has a 69-inch reach. She's 19-4 overall, 12-1 in the UFC, and 5-0 in her last 5. She's beat everyone thrown at her, from Cyborg to Shevchenko twice, questionable, one of them at least, Rousey, Holly Holm, Durandame twice, Misha Tate. 2 of her last 5 went to decision, so she's stopping them before the bell. And then we got Felicia Spencer, who's 8-1 overall. She's 29 years old, 5'6" and 68-inch reach. She's 2-1 in the UFC, 4-1 in her last 5. Sure, her lone loss in the UFC was to Cyborg via split decision. The next best fighter she's fought was Megan Anderson, who I don't know if you guys know her or not, but she's all tatted up, big girl. But I don't think she's not even close on the same level as Amanda Nunes. And then 3 of her last 5 wins are via rear naked choke. So I would assume Felicia tries to get it to the ground, but the chances of getting it to the ground with Amanda is a problem, and I don't see that happening. We got Big Magoo asking if there's any chance Spencer here, boys. Any shot for Spencer here, boys? At the odds here, Spencer plus 450 you can get in places, and I probably would assume that now that Las Vegas has reopened and there's more betting places and whatnot, I think more people will still bet on Nunes even at minus 600. I mean, this number will probably stay the same. This is probably plus 450 is probably you got, but I don't think Spencer is better than Cyborg, better than Holly Holm, better than Durandame. So I don't think Spencer beats Nunes here, but I know I think it was at least 3, maybe the last 4 main events that we've seen during this COVID crisis, the underdog has won, but I see it stopping here. I know the book in Jersey has a little like prop trying to get you to bet Spencer. So, but I'm off this one unless you use Nunes as a parlay prop. I'm not going to lay the 600 on Amanda Nunes. What's your look here?
So I mean, interesting fight, I guess you could say. To answer Big Raghu's question, does Spencer have any shot here? I mean, it's the UFC. Of course, everyone has a shot. They have some type of shot. Do I see her winning this fight? No. At this point in the game, Nunes has almost cleared out the entire division.
Yep, absolutely.
They're looking for some type of anything, someone they can make something into a challenge for this girl.
Anyone that will take the fight.
I mean, you look at the last champions that we've had, Ronda, we've had Holly Holm. There was always some questions around them because they didn't fight every single person that they could have fought. Nunes has seriously fought every single person that she needed to fight, even including Cyborg coming over to the division, making the fight with Cyborg, and then beating Cyborg. That was the one question that everyone had about Nunes. Oh, can she beat Cyborg though? Can she beat Cyborg though? And she came in,
destroyed her.
Destroyed her. So I don't see this fight going any difference. And obviously, everyone knows the game plan here. Spencer's game plan is to take her down. I mean, that's all Nunes needs to work the whole camp. Just take her down. Just take her down. Work on takedown defense. Do I like Nunes that much to bet whatever she's at? No. I personally dislike both of these girls. I don't like either of them. But what I was playing with on this fight was I do not see this going the full 5 rounds at all. Nunes is a first-round fighter. She comes out really strong in the first round. Spencer's going to have to outlast that. We all know Nunes is going to probably put on pressure in the first round. And whether this fight stays on the feet or whether Spencer gets her down and goes to the ground, these are two really big girls, 145-pound division, with a lot of muscle, a lot of strength. And I do not see this fight going the full 5 rounds. So I was playing, I believe for this fight not to go the distance was minus 250, but I was looking at this fight and a parlay with Cody money line, and I believe it was coming in at like plus 125.
There you go. Very nice. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I don't know if we're going to go over our top picks again, but
yeah, we can. Absolutely. Let's do that.
So right off the bat, I would say my first pick again, Tony Martin, coming in at I think plus 115. He would be my number 1 pick straight to win. My second pick would be Cody, who I believe you told me he's now coming in at minus 150. Yep. And then my last pick, I couldn't decide on a really good last pick. I was in between a couple different ones. So I think it's going to be the parlay pick that I just rattled off with Nunes, because I really like the under in rounds on Nunes. But again, I like to stay away from anything that's over, minus 200.
Yep.
No matter how much I like it. So I would have to say my last pick would be a parlay. It would be Nunes and Cody. Nunes, under, and Cody.
All right. So my 3 best bets are Ian Heinisch at he's minus 115-ish, minus 110. Then I got the Hooper O'Malley parlay at minus 110, and then Alex Perez at minus 125 for my 3 best bets. I know last week we had a good one. Let's keep it up. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Coach Will's picks, DX Filler, Big Ragu, Israel 2409, Lags the Capper. Thanks, guys, and we'll let's cash some tickets. Follow us at Joey Werk on Twitter, at BetwiseSN on Twitter, and thanks for showing up. We'll see you Saturday, and there's more fights. So now the UFC has scheduled fights for the next, I think, 3 weeks in a row on Saturday. So you'll see a lot of these faces here.
And we got basketball.
And basketball's coming back, yeah. So, but thanks for tuning in, guys, and good luck. Let's cash some tickets.
All right, be smart. Let's make some money.